In the learner-active technology-infused classroom, the teacher creates an environment that allows students to take responsibility for their own learning, maximizing executive function and academic achievement. Key to the latter is understanding the difference between a learning activity and a practice activity. In many classrooms, the teacher presents new content, typically concepts or skills, to the entire class in a long or short lesson. In the learner-active technology-infused classroom, the teacher creates the bridge through which students take responsibility for their own learning, with the teacher acting as facilitator. Whole class lessons are used to trigger awareness of new learning goals, not to teach students content. Instead, students learn through teacher-directed small group mini lessons and more often through learning activities. As you can imagine, it's very important to ensure that all activities are carefully and strategically designed. While the learner-active technology-infused classroom can look like a very busy learning environment with very engaged students, it's important to remember that if you are not teaching content from the front of the room, you must ensure that students are engaging in learning activities. An easy misstep is for the teacher to provide the same practice activities formerly used after a whole class group content lesson. This will not suffice in the learner-active technology-infused classroom. The idea behind whole class skill instruction is that once the teacher teaches and students take notes, independent activities allow students to practice, and the teacher can walk around the room asking if students need help. In the learner-active technology-infused classroom, teachers must take into consideration the difference between learning activities and practice activities, and ensure that students have access to ample opportunities to learn. Let's take a look at 4 different types of learning activities. Some activities offer students an opportunity to explore without feedback. Primary students might explore the concept of length with manipulatives. As they explore, they build understanding of the concept of length. A science teacher might provide students with a rotted log and ask them to explore what is growing on or living on or in the log and why. The student would be exploring the concept of an ecosystem as a beginning learning activity. Both of these activities would be followed by other learning activities. You will most often provide your students with multiple learning activities to ensure that they have opportunity to build understanding. Some activities offer students an opportunity to explore with feedback. Students might explore addition using Cuisenaire rods, in which they are instructed to see how many different combinations of 2 rods equal the orange rod. The feedback is in finding 2 rods that match up to the length of the orange rod. A student might explore giving directions to a robotic device to follow a track. The feedback is in the successful navigation. Some activities provide students with direct instruction in which students are passive participants. You might locate or create a podcast or screencast that offers step-by-step instruction and models the steps for students to watch. This podcast is an example of direct instruction with passive participation. Some activities provide students with direct instruction in which students are active participants. Consider a Howto Sheet, for example. The activity should address a discrete skill or concept, provide step-by-step instruction, and offer some form of feedback. In some cases, that may be in the form of an answer key. In others, it would simply be the student achieving the goal. For example, learning to construct a triangle using only a straight edge and a compass. The appearance of the triangle on the page is feedback enough. It's important to ensure that you are offering your students robust and rigorous learning activities to build concepts, skills, and information sets. As you design or locate learning activities, keep the following characteristics in mind. Keep the activity focused on a particular skill or concept. Avoid making the focus too broad. Ensure that the student is provided with steps to accomplishing the objective. Where possible, include some form of feedback. Only when students are exploring in very open-ended ways will you not provide feedback. There may be value in having students explore and initially learn with others. They can ask questions, discuss outcomes, and grapple together. Learning activities, therefore, may be completed by individuals, pairs of students, or in small groups. Let's take a look at practice activities. Now, practice activities presume that learning has already taken place and that students are ready to apply what they've learned to similar situations. If students watch a screencast to learn how to convert fractions to decimals, they then continue to apply the process to a variety of problems. Practice activities are best accomplished individually so that the student builds personal content mastery. As you build your activity sheets and activities, be sure that you are providing your students with learning activities and not just practice activities. Thanks for listening.